Scene 1. The bus stop, 800 words. Rain tapped steadily against the corrugated metal roof of the lonely bus stop, creating a dull rhythm in the empty evening. The streetlights flickered weakly in the mist, their glow blurred by fog and drizzle. It was the kind of night that made even the most patient souls check the time twice and hope the bus would hurry. But now, well past the last scheduled stop, no one waited anymore. Except her. The girl sat hunched in a battered wheelchair, her thin frame wrapped in a faded, oversized hoodie soaked through by the rain. Her jeans were torn at the knees, not for style but from wear, and her shoes didn't match, one too big, the other fraying at the edges. Her face was pale, her lips tinged with blue, not from makeup but from the cold that had seeped deep into her bones. She didn't shiver anymore. She had stopped that hours ago. Cars passed from time to time, their headlights sweeping across her figure without slowing. Most drivers didn't see her. Or pretended not to. She watched each one, eyes following them for a few seconds before falling back to the slick pavement. Her hands rested motionless in her lap. Her legs, lifeless, angled slightly to one side. The rain had started before sunset, and now darkness had settled fully. Still, she stayed, waiting. Not for the bus anymore. That hope had left her long ago. Now she waited for something else. Anything. A soft humming engine approached from down the street. Not fast, not aggressive, just steady, familiar. The kind of sound that didn't make you flinch. A dark sedan pulled up to the side of the road, headlights dimmed. It stopped about 10 feet away. The engine turned off. The door creaked open. A man stepped out, holding a small, brightly colored umbrella. He wore jeans and a gray hoodie, sleeves pushed up despite the chill. There was weariness in his step, but also purpose. He looked toward the bus stop and saw her. She didn't move, just stared back with unreadable eyes. From the back seat of the car, a child's voice piped up. "Daddy, why is that girl sitting in the rain?" The man turned his head slightly, as if deciding how much to explain. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward the girl. She tensed. Not obviously, not enough to run, she couldn't, but enough that her shoulders rose and her eyes narrowed. Her hands curled slightly in her lap. The man stopped a few feet away, crouched so he wasn't towering over her. "You okay?" Her voice was hoarse when she answered. "Bus didn't come." He nodded slowly, eyes scanning her soaked clothes, her thin arms, the wheels of her chair caked in dirt. "You waiting for someone?" She didn't respond. "Got anywhere to go?" Her eyes drifted toward the street, then back to him. "No." The man was quiet for a moment. Rain dripped from the edge of his umbrella. His daughter's face was pressed against the back window of the car now, watching with wide eyes. The girl in the wheelchair looked away, expecting him to walk off. They always did after the questions. Sometimes they left food, sometimes just silence, but he stayed. "Come with me," he said, not loud, not pushing. Just simple. She blinked, unsure she'd heard him right. "What? Come with me," he repeated. "Just for tonight. You're freezing out here." "Why?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "Why would you care?" He shrugged, but his voice didn't waver. "Because no one should be out here alone in the rain." She looked at him for a long time, suspicious, weighing possibilities. Danger was always a factor. Men offering help rarely did so for free. But something in his voice wasn't coded in pity. He hadn't offered her money. He hadn't looked at her like a problem. She glanced past him again to the car. The little girl in the backseat smiled and waved a small, stuffed bear at her through the window. The man followed her gaze. "That's my daughter, Lily. She talks a lot, but she's sweet." He hesitated, then stepped slightly to the side. "You can say no. I'll leave something warm to eat if you'd rather stay. But if you come, you'll be dry. And safe." Her hands clenched tighter. The rain had soaked through to her skin hours ago. Her stomach ached. Her fingers were stiff. Still, trust was dangerous. But loneliness was worse. She gave a small nod. Barely a movement. He didn't rush her, just moved behind her wheelchair and gently gripped the handles. "You tell me if you want me to stop, all right?" She nodded again, this time more certain. He pushed her carefully toward the car, shielding her with the umbrella as best he could. The door opened, and Lily scooted over to make room. As the man helped her in, the girl whispered, "Emma." He smiled gently. "I'm Sam." She settled into the warm car seat, trembling. "Thanks," she said, just loud enough for him to hear. He nodded as he started the car. Everyone needs someone to stop once in a while. Scene 2. A new beginning, 800 words. The house was small, with peeling paint on the front steps and an old porch light that flickered before staying on. Inside, however, it was warm. Not just in temperature, but in a quiet, lived-in way. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and something cooking in the kitchen. Soft music played from an old radio sitting on top of the fridge, barely louder than a whisper. Emma sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in a thick checkered blanket that smelled like fabric softener and something faintly floral. Her hair, still damp, clung to her cheeks. A mug of cocoa steamed in front of her, the chipped ceramic warming her hands. She hadn't tasted it yet. Just holding it was enough. The heat sank into her fingers, a reminder that she was no longer outside. Sam stood at the stove, frying eggs and toasting slices of bread in a small pan. He worked quietly, not rushing, like he'd done it 100 times before. Lily sat at the opposite end of the table, swinging her legs as she colored in a dog-eared coloring book. Her tongue poked out of the corner of her mouth as she concentrated, crayons scattered around her like a tiny storm. Emma's eyes wandered the room. The linoleum floor was scuffed but clean. The fridge was covered in magnets and scribbled drawings, including one of a stick figure man, a little girl, and what looked like a dog with wings. A photo of Sam holding Lily as a toddler hung above the sink. He looked younger in it, less tired. She finally brought the mug to her lips and took a sip. It wasn't instant cocoa. It was real, creamy, rich, with a hint of vanilla. Her eyes closed for a moment. Sam looked over from the stove. "You okay with eggs and toast? It's late, and we don't do fancy around here." Emma nodded. "It's perfect." He set a plate in front of her. 2 fried eggs, slightly crispy at the edges, and buttered toast cut in triangles. She stared at it for a second too long before picking up the fork. "You eat what you can," Sam said, sitting across from her. "No pressure." She took a bite. Her hand shook slightly as she lifted the fork. The food was simple, but it hit like a feast. Lily looked up from her drawing. "Are you staying the night?" Emma hesitated, glancing at Sam. He met her gaze. "If you want. We've got a couch that folds out. Not the comfiest thing in the world, but it's warm. You're welcome to it." Emma's voice was soft. "Why are you doing this?" Sam leaned back in his chair, exhaling through his nose. "I've had people help me when I didn't deserve it," he said. "When I had nothing to give back. Someone once told me that kindness isn't about earning it, it's about needing it." Emma stared at her plate. Her throat tightened. She hadn't heard words like that in a long time. "Maybe never. I've been on my own a while," she murmured. "People look, but they don't stop. You're the first who stopped." Sam nodded. "Sometimes that's all it takes. One person willing to stop." Lily finished her drawing and held it up proudly. "This is us," she said. "Me, Daddy, and you. And that's Max. He was our dog. He died, but I still draw him." Emma took the picture. The stick figure labeled, "Emma," had big eyes and a red blanket. The dog had a crooked tail and a smile. "It's really good," she said, the corners of her mouth twitching into something that might have been a smile. Lily beamed. Sam stood and began clearing the dishes. "There's a first aid kit in the bathroom, if you want to clean up a bit. And a hairdryer under the sink." Emma nodded slowly. "Thank you. You don't have to say it," he replied. She looked up. "I want to." He gave her a small smile and started washing the pans. Later, as Sam unfolded the couch in the living room and laid down extra blankets, Emma sat watching him, legs wrapped in the same warm blanket. The wheelchair sat quietly in the corner, folded. "Do you need help with anything before bed?" he asked. She shook her head. "I've managed. I can transfer fine on my own." He nodded. "All right, I'll leave the hallway light on. Lily gets scared of the dark sometimes." Emma looked around again, then down at her lap. "I don't know what tomorrow looks like," she said quietly. "Neither do I," Sam replied, "but for tonight, you're safe." "That's a start." She nodded. A lump formed in her throat, but she swallowed it. Outside, the rain had stopped. The night was still and quiet, except for the sound of Lily's soft giggles as she whispered to her stuffed bear under the covers. Emma lay back against the pillow, the warmth of the room slowly pushing the cold memories farther from her skin. She closed her eyes and listened to the steady rhythm of the house. Not perfect, not fancy, but enough. For the first time in a long time, sleep came easily.